every couple of weeks on a Sunday morning, 8:30 a.m. Right, give me a chance to get caught up, or should I say YouTube caught up, and we'll see who's in the workshop today. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, it's still a bit slow. We'll have another go. OneDrive is not signed in, that's fine, we don't need that. There we are. Right. Now, how was your week? Tell me all about it, because I've had a very, very busy week. Mr. Rawls, Simon, morning Andy and crew. Good morning, Simon. Hope all is well in your neck of the woods. Jim K, good morning, Andy. Good morning, Jim. Apologies. I think you tried to ring me on Wednesday and I couldn't take the call. I was just too busy. So my sincere apologies there. So we need to catch up. I'll be driving tomorrow from about sort of mid-morning up to Auckland, so feel free to give me a shout. We'll have a good natter whilst I'm trekking my way up north. The Giants, good evening Andy and crew, hope all is well watching from South Africa. Yes, things are not too bad at all. So where do I start? Let's get rid of the adverts first of all, see what's going on. Skip that, no thanks to that. Right, I think we're about there. Okay, so a couple of weeks have gone by. I actually can't really remember the previous week. Actually, I was probably away doing something. I've no idea. On the road as always. But this last week, Monday morning, I embarked south and I went to sunny Dannevirke. Yes, Viking territory down there. And dropped off the little trailer with a good friend Daniel, who works at a motorcycle shop there, and spent a few hours with him just going through bits and pieces. I haven't been down there for a while. And then from there went down to a lovely little town called Greytown, just north of Wellington. It's a good little spot, to be fair. It really is quite quaint, in fact. I think there's a lot of English people live there. But it's a well-presented little township, and there's a very nice hotel if you're ever in the area called the White Swan Hotel. Excellent staff, excellent food, and great rooms. Very well presented, and it's always a joy to stay there. And I was there for 3 nights. I know, it's brilliant. I used it as a base. I'd obviously done a motorcycle shop visit on the Monday, so I was there the Monday night. Tuesday, I was up to Carterton, to go and see another motorcycle shop there, go and see Nathan, and then back down to Greytown, another night there, and then flicked off down to Upper Hutt to go and see another bike shop owner, and spent a few hours with Mac. All very productive meetings. It was excellent to go and see them all again eventually. It's taken a while. I'm a bit behind this year. And then back up to Greytown, and then the following morning over to Palmerston North. Had some training, some sort of follow-up training to do there. Just dot the I's, cross the T's, make sure everything's sorted out. But before I went, I had to do my first ever online training. Not for me, but for a motorcycle shop. And it all went really well. I was a bit concerned whether I was going to be able to share my screen and for everything to work as it should do. But it did. It was great. So I got all that out of the way, jumped in the truck and off to Palmerston North. Did the face-to-face training, the follow-up training in the afternoon. Good job that I went because there was a couple of issues to sort out. A bit more diagnostic tool training while I was there. That was probably the main thing that I did, to be fair, with some more techs. And then stayed in Palmerston North that night. The Distinction Hotel, it's not that much. It doesn't really... Distinction hotels here in New Zealand, the one in Dunedin, for example, very, very nice. The one in Christchurch, very, very nice. The one in Palmerston North, it's not ideal. It's all right. It's not great. Did the trick. And then the following morning, had to hot-foot it back over to Dannevirke, pick up the trailer, load it up with an ROV and some other bits and pieces. And we had when I was just reading back to the previous weekend before I left Dannevirke on the Monday. On the Saturday, I had to go up to the local town, Tokoroa, and get some more builder's mix. I did 2 runs, one with a big trailer, one with a little trailer. And when I got loaded up with the little trailer, I noticed that the tyres weren't round anymore. No, they were a bit deflated. So, and I didn't really notice that because when it was empty, it wasn't a problem. So I went to the petrol station and upon inflating the tyres, the left rear tyre was completely out of round. It had lost all its shape and there were some steel wires, some of the steel cords were poking out through the tread. Still had plenty of tread, but obviously it's a sign that the carcass on the tyre is starting to fail. So drove home nice and slowly. It was fine, wasn't a problem. End of the day, it's got another axle anyway. It wasn't an issue. Got home and when I was down in Dannevirke, there was a tyre shop there, the Goodyear tyre shop. Very helpful chap there. He managed to source me another tyre for the spare, and because I put the spare on the trailer obviously before I set off down there. And it's a bit of a worry driving around without a spare tyre. It's not like me. Normally I'm really organised. Long trips, 2 spares. But we made it there fine. And I mean, the trailer was running empty going down, so there was no real load on the tyre anyway. Or, apart from a nail or something, I'd have been fine. And then I picked up the spare wheel and tyre on the Friday morning when I got back to Dannevirke to get the RRV. And obviously came home with a spare tyre. I didn't need it, but peace of mind, I had it just in case. So that trip all up, I covered about 1,200 kilometres. A bit of a trek, to be fair. I did find, actually, because I headed up towards Napier and then cut onto the 5. In the past, I would always go into Napier and then bounce back out to get on the 5. And I thought, well, I wonder if I can miss any of these roadworks, because the State Highway 5 from Napier to Towport is full of roadworks and it's full of very slow speed limit zones. And I looked on the map the night before and I found that there was a back road that ran from Fern Hill, which is near Hastings, south of Napier, from Fern Hill. So they cut the whole corner off and joined State Highway 5 about a third the way along it, maybe a quarter the way along it, but it missed out all that start. And it was brilliant. It was really, really quiet little road. It wasn't a minor road. It was, it was pretty good. And the scenery was fantastic. It reminded me of being down in the South Island around Otago area. Very, very pleasant. All the trees are shedding their leaves because we're going into winter. It was a really, really nice morning's drive until I got onto State Highway 5, and then it was just an absolute chore. Lots of trucks, lots of tourists, all driving really slowly. Well, some driving really slowly, everybody else in a mad rush. So it was a bit of a wacky racers kind of a trip across there, especially with a trailer on, having to take it nice and steady. Lots of people overtaking me. Then I'd come across a camper van doing 70 k's an hour for 30 kilometers. Absolute ball ache. But anyway, got into Taupo. There's some really cool, just this weekend gone, in fact, today as well, there is the V8 saloon car racing in Taupo. So when I got into Taupo on Friday afternoon, it was absolute mayhem. There was everybody in the town. Obviously, there was a lot of tourists that had come in to go and watch the racing. Everybody was a racing car driver. And the speed of the cars around the township was just astronomical. I'm sure the police were having a bit of a field day. But yeah, so I was in, had a new tumble dryer to pick up on the way through, and I was straight out. Didn't do any other stops, just pulled in, 5 minutes, load up the tumble dryer, and get home. And I got home about 5 o'clock, about 5 p.m., 5:15, something like that. And the whole trip, the whole run, faultless. No problems at all. Very happy. Right, back to that's been my week. Ben came down late Friday, in fact, very late Friday night. He got a telling off for how late he was, and then Saturday morning, yesterday, we got Ben got the ROV under sealed. We've got a brand new one here that needed under sealing. It was all prepped last weekend. We didn't get around to doing it, so he did it yesterday. First job, while I was off getting some more builder's mix with the big trailer. Another 4 scoops, 2.2 tons of builder's mix. Doesn't look a lot in the trailer, but man, it's heavy stuff. It really is. So I trundled up to Togero and got that while he was under sealing. And then we got back, had a quick coffee, and then we got the second of 4 concrete pads laid. That was done. We got that finished about 3 o'clock, I think it was. And then we unloaded the big trailer and got all the builder's mix into the back garden on the heap, ready for today. Because today, after the live stream, we've got pad number 3 to do. And then next weekend on the Saturday, we'll get the final 4th pad done. And then the following weekend, it'll be all finished, and we'll be able to walk in there. And Ben can start to put all his gear in there. And I've got one wall to finish at this far end, a timber wall we're doing. But I'll get around to doing that next weekend. So once that's done, the doors are already on, the roof's all finished, the concrete floor will be done. I've got some lighting to put in for him because it's pretty dark in there. Especially when that wall's done, it'll be really dark. And then that's it. We're sorted. Ben's going to panel it all out and do all his fixtures and fittings and load it up with all his workshop gear. And it'll be a great job done. And we will have done it in just over a month. Maybe 6 weeks it's taken as weekends. Now, we do have Thursday this week as a national bank holiday here in New Zealand, Anzac Day. So I might get that wall done on Thursday. We'll wait and see what other stuff I've got to do, or whether Mrs. Mechanic wants a day off and we go somewhere. Because we've all been working flat tack every spare minute to get Ben's new shed finished. Because he's against the clock. He moves out of his home in Auckland, I think in a couple of weeks' time. So we really are against the clock with it. Roger Heaps, good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. Welcome back to the workshop, sir. Cheers. Simon, that's what I don't get. New car with that useless tyre form. What are you on about? Pete, hi Andy and crew, good morning, Pete. Tessifon, hello Mr. Andy, happy to meet again after 2 or 3 weeks. Yes, well done Tessifon, you're back, good job. Richard Perry, hi Andy and crew, hope all are good. Yes, Ben's good, Mrs. Mechanic's fine. Marmite continues to defeat death. Little shop dog, Team Marmite, she is becoming quite oblivious. I think it's her eyesight's going. But when I'm out and about in Trevor the Tractor now, I have to be so careful because she's either incredibly complacent about tyres, or she can't really see what's going on anymore. I have to be very, very careful that I don't run her over. She just seems to meander around all over the place. So we've almost got to the point now where when I'm driving the tractor for any real period of time, either Ben or Mrs. Mechanic will pick Team Marmite up, either put her in the house or just keep hold of her for a while. It's a bit of a problem. 1 minute she can be relaxing in a little kennel. You think she's all good, she's safe. You jump in the tractor, start it up, she gets disturbed, she jumps out and she moves around. And it's a bit of a worry, to be fair. It really is, because she wouldn't stand a chance if poor old Trevor drove over her. The real Daz. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Daz. Welcome back, mate. Peter Swatman. Hi, Andy and crew. Good morning, Peter. Welcome back to the workshop. I can report we've had tremendous amounts of rain again this last week, and the workshop is still bone dry. The new roof is perfect. And don't forget, we started building that new roof back in December. And we're still building. Every single weekend we've been flat out building stuff, whether it's the roof or Ben's shed. The next stage, I would like to do the side port. Ben wants to get his little carport done. Mrs. Mechanic's fighting to get her deck finished. Honestly, I'll never get any time to do any mechanic at the moment. It's just full on. It really is. Now, any more comments? Yes, Simon, how about Marmite seat on Trevor the Tractor? Just like a farm dog. She loves it on Trevor the Tractor. That's a good idea, actually. At the moment, when I pick her up, because if I'm on my own, I have to pick her up, because I've got no idea where she is. I'll hold her with my left arm, and I can drive around and do all the hydraulics and stuff like that. And she loves going for a little drive in the tractor, or on the tractor. She really does, especially when we're working, using the bucket at the front and stuff. She'll study what's going on. She's quite clever, but she's going blind, I'm sure she's got cataract in one eye, which is pretty bad some days. And I'm sure the other one's starting to cloud over as well. It's really sad because used to be a really lively little dog, and she's super, super good. She really is very thoughtful, and you know, she knows if you're not very well, she knows that you're not very well, and she comes sit with you. It's great. Good companion for Mrs. Mechanic when I'm away. She really is. Anyway, I suppose we should do the pie. Right, so we've got here. Now, a bit of confusion here because there's two sort of names for the people that make this. There's Lamb's Pies here, and there's the Paetiki Bakery at the top. So I always get confused when I do these. Sometimes I call it a Paetiki Bakery Pie, and other times I call it a Lamb's Pie. So we've got to be careful on the board whether we've done it or not. And we had a good scan through, and we're pretty sure we've not done this pie before. This is a pepper steak and creamy mushroom. Pepper steak with creamy mushroom sauce. Now, these pies, or the pies from this particular manufacturer, have in the past proved to be very good. So I'm looking forward to this. It's quite heavy. It's quite a solid pie. You can really feel the weight. Has it got a weight on there? I don't think they quote it because they're not really a very big pie producer. But they do say that they've got Bakel's New Zealand award-winning pies. So they've definitely won some awards over the years. And they've got two bakeries in Taupo. One is on Spa Road and one is on Rifle Range Road. They're not too far apart. Right, here we go. The pie. Dum 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 dum. Look at that. Got a bit of debris in the bag. You see all that down there? Look. That's all right. There's still plenty to go at. Okay, so the lid first of all. There you go. You got a bit of pepper on the top to indicate a pepper steak pie. And then we'll do a little spin round. Dum 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 dum. What happened there? It's had an impact, probably during the journey home. And we'll flick it over the back, and the base is pretty much perfect. Now, Mrs. Mechanic said these were quite expensive. She bought 3, so Ben's got one of these for this morning as well. And he might join us for the live stream. I don't know. I think they're up and about now, but he might pop in. If he does, he'll have to come in through the side door, but it's a bit of a palaver because we've got like a gazebo, an awning out that side, covering up the cement mixer and the cement and stuff. And one of the legs of the gazebo basically is against the door, so you can't really get in very well. But anyway, we'll work our way around that. Mrs. Mechanic said $7 each for these pies. It was $21 something for 3 pies, so $7 and a bit, which is a lot of money for a pie. So it better be bloody good. Right, to the pie warmer. Turn you around. It's changed all the icons again. I think it's that one. Hopefully, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom. Yes! Well done, YouTube. You're constantly updating the app, and everything keeps changing. Okay, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. Try and keep the pie in focus. It's lost a bit of its topping, hasn't it? It's in the bag. Oh, my word. Right, there we go. In it goes. 23 minutes. That is the perfect time for pies, by the way. If you get a pie out of the fridge, 23 minutes in the pie warmer, or in this particular pie warmer. And no, we haven't cleaned it. Look at the state of that. It's pretty bad, isn't it? Right, while we're doing that, Simon, your OBD2 reader's up there, safe and sound in the cabinet. Still haven't had a chance to do that yet, mate. Sorry. Okay, so yes, the go-kart hasn't moved. It's become a clamp rack, basically. All the clamps keep getting put on there. Sheldon, no, we've not really used Sheldon recently either. Sheldon the mill. But the workbench. This is not my workshop, is it? My workshop's normally clean and tidy. Look at the state of that. Honestly, it hasn't been tied up for a couple of weeks. What have we got on there? Well, we've got some screws that Ben brought. He found some more cable ties. We've got a little bit of underseal left over, which is great. Lots of screws and different fittings and bits and pieces for his shed. What else have we got? Oh, yes, actually, over here. Do you remember I talked to you about Makita and Ben gave me a couple of drills? I haven't actually tried these yet. Just let's see if they work, because Ben gave me these. They were both broken. So this is a little drill. This isn't the same size as my drill. This is my drill here. Look, this is my new one. Second attempt, because the first one we got died after about 30 minutes of use. This one is a DHP 486 for anyone that's interested. but this is the one that Ben got, and it died. Well, what happened to this one is the bearing inside here, probably a really crappy Chinese bearing. The bearing got so bad, there was heaps of chuck movement from side to side. It was real sloppy. I mean, it's not great, brand new, to be fair. I wonder how that compares to this one. This one's pretty much brand new as well, don't forget. So, no, that's a lot better. So, much higher tolerances in there. Much, much better. Hardly any movement at all. But on this one, yeah, it's quite a bit. It's not ideal. So it's really a light duty sort of DIY kind of drill. This is a DHP 485. And that was a DHP 486. There's only one number different. Wow. And a hell of a different drill. Both are brushless, by the way, which is interesting to see. Is it going to work? Because it's been repaired. Oh, yes, look at that. Nice. Good stuff. And it's got, obviously, your obligatory headlight now, which is very useful having lights on drills. So that one works. And this one here, this is also like a little impact wrenchy thing for doing screws up and things. Ben uses them a lot. Again, brushless. This one is a DTD157. I've never used this before. This is, like I said, this is Ben's old one. He's given me it now. He said, if you can get them repaired for free, you can have them. And he gave me two more batteries as well, which is great. So is that going to work? Oh, yes. Good stuff. Okay, so we've got some nice tools, additional tools. Now, one thing I want to show you is this drill. We've got loads of drills now. This one is my old drill. This is a DDF 481, which is probably, I don't know, 3-4 years old, probably about 4 years old. And I actually bought this for Ben for his Christmas present. Yes. And then I got it back. He says, oh, you can have it back because I don't need it at the moment. And then it got, used a lot. And then he just thought he'd go and buy another one. So that's fine. So DDF 481. This one has always had a problem. And it's to do with the trigger control. If you watch the clutch, the chuck speed, very, very difficult to keep a small speed, a low speed on it. I'm just going to use 2 fingers. See if I can try and control that. So I'm holding the trigger in exactly the same position, and you might see that the chuck speed increases and decreases. Look at that. It's all over the place. Let's go a bit faster. There you go. Not too bad at the moment. We'll go a bit faster. Oh, that's bad. There you are. That's the sweet spot. There you go. Look, it's speeding up, slowing down. So, real pain in the ass to use when you're doing slow speed work. It's sort of, you get it just right and then it suddenly speeds up all on its own. It's still usable, especially when you're drilling timber and stuff. It's not a problem. But it's, and the chuck bearing's still really good, actually. Considering. It's done this thing's done a lot of work. A hell of a lot of work. So, maybe I'll get it repaired. It's probably the throttle control down here, the trigger switch part that needs replacing. It'll be, I don't know, it's obviously a variable resistor type thing, so it's maybe got some dirt in it, or it's just been crap from day one. I don't remember this ever being good, in all honesty. So there you have it. We have got lots of drills and bits and pieces now. Right, that was a bit of an ad hoc kind of a thing, wasn't it? What else is going on? This. Now, bit of feedback. Seems we're doing Makita, why not? So I bought this a few weeks ago, and it's a DHS 660. And I would not recommend it, in all honesty. It's incredibly underpowered. I suppose, free speed. It sort of sounds okay when it's not under any kind of load. But the minute you put it under any kind of load, it bogs right down, and it really struggles. I wish we'd maybe gone, because I don't need a big one. It's quite handy for on-site work. But I think maybe if they'd done a twin battery one, it would have helped. It's okay. It does the job, but it doesn't inspire me with any real confidence. That's the problem. So, build quality seems all right. This is a nice metal shroud and stuff. and it's all fully adjustable like you'd expect, but it just hasn't quite got the grunt that I was hoping for. But maybe that's just me. Ben has a similar one, one of his red tools, Ozito, I think it's called, and his is better. There's no doubt, hands down, more powerful, and it's the same voltage. So, work that one out. What else? That's about it, really. There's not much else around here. It's just a bit of a mess, as always. And, oh yeah, more stuff. Ben's brought his TIG back. He's got his MIG, his gasless MIGs come down. So all of that will migrate into his workshop once it's all ready. Down this end here, not much else, just a bit of a mess. Still haven't fitted my air dryer thing for the air compressor. Still sat there, $2,000 worth. Never fitted it. I'll get around to it one day. Oh, my main air compressor now is this one, because the silver shed that had the small air compressor in, and I don't even know where the air compressor's gone, actually. Must be in Ben's shed. Obviously, we had to unplumb that, take it all down, so now we're using this one, which plugs into that socket up there. So it's a really good air compressor. Ben was using that when he was shutzing yesterday. Right, well, that's pretty much about it. Obviously, I've cleared all the bikes out for the live stream because, they're not allowed to be in the workshop, some of them, for the live streams, unfortunately. Bit of a shame, but anyway, such is life. Anyway, how's my pie doing? We've got much more to go. Oh, yeah, about, another 15 minutes or so. I'm getting hungry. That was a bit Yorkshire, wasn't it? I'm getting hungry. Right, back to the bench for some more natter. Turn you round. 3, 2, 1. Boom. There we go. That should work. Right. Plenty of time for another cigarette, I think. And my coffee's getting cold. Oh, my word. You guys have been busy while I've been wandering around the workshop, haven't you? Just sorting that camera out. We're all over the place, aren't we? There we are. That's better. Is that going to work? Yes, that's better. Right. Okay. So vain, Andy. So vain. Okay. Where do we get to? 3. Roger Heaps, you'll be keen on a puppy when our dogs have some. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yours aren't dogs. They're like horses. They're massive. No, we couldn't cope with one of your dogs. Sorry, Roger. Thanks for the offer. Thank you very much for the offer, actually. But there is no way that Mrs. Mechanic could cope with a dog of that size. It would be overwhelming. And to be fair, they eat a lot, Big dog eats a lot of stuff. We used to have black Labradors back in the UK. I had a few of those over the years. And they were big enough. The kids loved them, but they were big enough. And they were a pain in the ass. Marmite is brilliant. But if we are going to get another dog, which I don't think we are, but if we are, we have to get one before Marmite finally pegs it, because we wanted to learn Marmite's traits, how she operates, what she does, the routine that we have in the morning for the dog, because, she's very placid and it's just easy and she's well behaved most of the time. So we would, rather than start from scratch, she can pass on the knowledge, actually. But I don't think Mrs. Mechanic's going to go for another dog. Now then, John Nuttall. Good morning, John. Welcome back. Andy, have you ever had a Scotch pie? Yes, they're the ones with the eggs inside them. And I love a Scotch pie. I used to have them during the summertime in the UK, often with a bit of a salady thing, chicken salad and Scotch pie. I very much like them. I do. We don't really get them over here. I think Ben found one of the New World, which is a supermarket, one of the New World delicatessens had them. But they're pretty rare. And yes, I think I have had one here in New Zealand, but it's not often you come across them. I'll keep my eye on. You've reminded me I should get one of those because I do like them. Simon, have you tried them drill bits yet? No, I haven't yet, Simon. Sorry. I will, and I'll report back. They look phenomenal. The Real Daz, what do you think of Ozito? I haven't used the Ozito brand. However, Ben switched to the Ozito brand probably a couple of years ago now. And he's bought all sorts of stuff. They're all outside actually in his toolbox because he's working remotely at the moment. And he's got an electric chainsaw, which is actually really good. I've used that. He's got the rechargeable circular saw, also I believe better, certainly in performance than the Makita. Build quality, I don't know yet. It still works, and he's had it for a while, so it's doing well. And it probably gets equal use, if not more use, than mine, week on week, because he cuts up pallets and all sorts with it. He's got your drill. He's got a drill. He's got an impact driver, 3/8 impact driver. He's got all sorts of bits and pieces. And so far, no problems. Hasn't had to take anything back. Significantly cheaper. Batteries are cheaper. Each individual tool, the skins, as they call them, are cheaper. And they do the job for him. So with Makita's quality coming down, and it clearly is, which is a terrible shame, it's these cheaper brands which are starting to look a bit more appealing. Because at the end of the day, nothing lasts forever. All these Makita tools that I've got will all fail one day, as have many Makita tools in the past that I've had. We've just worn them out. I mean, I've got mains-powered grinders, angle grinders and stuff kicking around that I'll buy a new bevel gear for that and I'll rebuild it. And yes, I probably will one day, in my retirement, no doubt, providing I still got the parts. But don't want to throw them away because I know I can fix them, and they've been a really good tool, and there's nothing else wrong with them. But we've just worn them out, and they've done a lot of work, so you can't knock the tool for that. But now, the more current tools that we're buying from Makita, they just don't seem to be up to the job. They're not what I class as a commercial type tool, and they aren't. They're built now and marketed to the domestic market in much the same way as the Azito ones are. If I was to start from scratch, knowing what I know now, I might even be tempted to go for a Zito. There was actually, I was talking to Ben, and I think we covered it on the last live stream. Metabu or Metabu. I showed you the grinder that I have. Phenomenal angle grinder. Really powerful, bloody noisy, but really powerful. Full-on commercial spec grinder, angle grinder. Designed to be used every single day, and it does. We've worked it real hard. I'm tempted, because they do rechargeable tools as well. I'm really tempted to try a Metabu rechargeable drill. Now, I know it means buying batteries and buying a drill and stuff, but it's good gear, or certainly the mains powered stuff is. So if you buy that as a test piece, if it turns out to be good, then maybe I'll be switching across to Metabu. But what I will do is I'll be contacting the importers of Metabu and saying, hey, this is what I'm looking at doing. This is the YouTube channel that I have. Do you want to give me a bit of assistance? Because Makita have given me nothing. From day one, every tool I've bought full price from the shops. I've never been given any kind of a discount whatsoever, which is a bit of a shame because they're pretty prominent in the workshop. They're on a lot of the videos. And in the past, I've been very, very supportive of their product. So, bit of a kick in the teeth. Bit of a missed opportunity for Makita. If they want to come to the table before I make the leap, then by all means, if you're watching this Makita New Zealand, feel free to contact me and we'll talk. Now, that was a good question. Right, so Real Daz, I see no problems. If you're looking to start out on rechargeable tools or looking to change brands, I think as long as you're not going to use them every single day, because they're not a commercial type tool, I think they'll do you just fine and you'll get good value for money. Yes, they're going to wear out. Yes, they're probably going to wear out a bit quicker than some of the other brands out there, but they're cheap. I hate to live in a disposable world, but you're going to be able to get a good range of tools for a lot less money than you would do if you were going for Makita or one of the other, maybe DeWalt, the other higher end brands. I've not really been in touch with DeWalt for a long time. My uncle, Emma's Mrs. Mechanic's uncle, has used DeWalt for many, many years, but he's sort of retired now, so he doesn't use them much anymore. So when he had them, they were great. He swore, but he was a DeWalt guy. I was a Makita guy, and that was the way it was. And he swore by him, absolutely swore by him. But again, they may have downgraded in quality to get the price right for the mass market, so they can sell more stuff, basically. The Giant, my cordless Bosch drill has a plastic chuck. By any chance, do you know if I could change it to a metal chuck? It might well depend on the model of the Bosch drill. Most chucks can be replaced. And if I remember rightly, if you open the chuck right out, so as if you're putting the full-size drill bit in there, 13 mil probably, and look right down the base, you might see a screw in the middle. I remember years ago, that's how one of the chucks was retained on my early rechargeable drill. Or it might have even been a mains powered drill. So yeah, you can usually replace the chucks. They're normally replaceable, and I don't see any reason why you can't find a metal or a chuck with a metal collar rather than a plastic one. I mean, that drill that Ben has given me, that's got a plastic chuck or plastic collar around the outside of the chuck, whereas the two that I've bought are both metal, and they're great, but I don't know, has it broken? What's the problem with the plastic chuck? JJ, morning Andy and crew. Morning JJ, welcome back to the workshop, sir. Simon, just had a look at a Zeta, 4 amp hour battery, 35 quid in the UK. It's pretty cheap. Over here for a 6 amp hour, I think it was, that I bought most recently. I bought one because they're expensive. Was 220 New Zealand dollars. So you can drop that straight down the middle now for the exchange rate. About 110 pounds for a 6 amp hour Makita battery. And saying that though, and the rechargeable tools do get a real hammering in this workshop especially when we're fabricating and stuff. Mrs. Mechanic will use the drill for cleanup. She'll put a wire brush in it and she'll spend hours cleaning up with it. She prefers the cordless stuff. It's lighter and it's easier to work with because you've got the cord basically. But we have the chargers. We have 2 chargers on the wall, and they are running flat out, keeping up with the batteries. I think we've got about 7 or 8 batteries now in the arsenal, and none of them yet have started to lose any appreciable capacity. They all seem to be working really well, and some of them are pretty old. So, again, is battery performance on the newer batteries from Makita going to start to wane a little bit? I don't know. But they seem to be doing okay. Whenever we get a suspect battery, we sort of mark it, and then we'll put it back on charge, and then we'll test it against another one, just to keep an eye on if any batteries are starting to fail. But the chargers normally will pick up on it before we do. They'll pick on the fact there's a bad cell and it refused to charge the battery. And at the moment, we've not had one of those for a long time. In actual fact, the last time we had that was when I did those videos on trying to resurrect a Makita battery, and we did resurrect one out of all the poorly ones. We got one which is still in use now, still working fine. So that was definitely a win. Saved me a few quid. Was it a bit of a palaver? Yes, it was, because it was a learning curve for me. Would I do it again? I might be tempted, but most likely I would just go and buy a new battery, to be honest. And at the moment, I don't need to. We've got plenty, especially those 2 extra ones that Ben gave me. The Giants. So that's pretty cheap, actually, is that, Simon? I'll have to ask Ben how much his batteries cost him for his Azito. He's got, I think most of his are 5 amp hour or 6 amp hour. He hasn't got any 4 amp hour ones, I don't think. He has got a couple of the really thin ones, which I think are only 2 amp hour, but he only uses those for recharging his phone. He has a little adapter that you can put on it, and he can get loads of phone charges out of one battery. So he doesn't even bother using them in his drills and stuff. They don't last forever. The Giants, the plastic chucks are junk. It seems that the metal chucks are much better quality. Okay, well, see if you can find one. There's a good chance you'll be able to get it replaced. Your cigarette's gone out again. I do too much talking, not enough smoking, which is probably a good thing, right? So I've not heard the pie ping yet. So the plan of attack for next week is that tomorrow morning, Monday for me, I have to load up the big trailer. Now the big trailer needs to be swept out and cleaned because it's had builder's mix in it, and I don't like to take it on the road with no sides on, with still bits of shale and stuff on there and stones and sand, because all they do is they flick off and they probably hit somebody's windscreen, and that's not fair on them. So Mrs. Mechanic will give that a really good sweep out today. We might even pressure wash it to give it a really good clean, because it's not had a good clean for a while. Got to get all the sides taken off. Got 2 ROVs to load up. We've got the one that I picked up from Dannevirk, and we've got the one that's been undersealed. The undersealed one, I've not rebuilt it yet. It's still an hour and a half work to do on that, which I might get done this afternoon if all goes to plan. Otherwise, I'm going to have to get up bloody early tomorrow morning and do that before I leave, which will be a real ball ache, and it'll probably make me late. But the upside of that is the underseal will have a bit longer to cure. So I'll have to go and check and see how tacky it is, because there's nothing worse than working on a vehicle that's just been undersealed, because you get covered in it. And you do take some of it off when you're working on it, which is not the idea. So it might have to be done tomorrow. We will see. And then up to Auckland, get those 2 dropped off, staying in Auckland, do a bit of admin work at head office Tuesday morning, and then load up with another ROV, which also needs undersealing. This is a private customer. They've just bought it. It's a second-hand machine, only done a few hours, and it's going to go work at a marina. So that one needs to be undersealed as well. That's a bigger job. It's a different model to the ones that we normally do. A lot more panels to take off, a lot more work involved undersealing it. So the price obviously has gone up for that one. And Ben will get all that one prepped. In fact, I'll have to prep that on Thursday. There you go. You see my week's plan, because Thursday's a bank holiday here in New Zealand, Anzac Day. So I'll have to strip it and prep it on Thursday so Ben can underseal it first thing Saturday morning. So it's got the weekend to cure, and then I'm going to have to try and fit it into my logistics to get it back to Auckland somehow. Probably on the small trailer, because there's no point taking the big trailer if I don't need to. And then Wednesday, I think I've got to go and visit a motorcycle shop on Wednesday. Thursday, day off, like I just said, prepping that ROV for underseal. And I might get on to doing Ben's wall. Sorry, the doors are all done. They're all hung now. And they're really good. Very, very impressed with those. Fit perfectly. And then Friday, I'm working from home. I've got a motorcycle here that's one of the other staff's coming down to pick up, to put in a trailer. It's a big bike, so they've asked me to be around to help them load it up. So I'll be working from home all day that day, because he's not too sure what time he'll get here, and he's on his way down to Palmerston North with it. So I would hope that he gets here around about lunchtime. Otherwise, he's got a long drive ahead of him. It's still a fair trek from here to Palmerston North, although we are en route, so it's not really out of his way. Simon saying that the DeWalt 5 ampere is only 60 quid here in the UK. You see, that's cheap. We get raped on the price of tools here in New Zealand. Everything's really expensive. And it's a terrible shame, because it ends up, more and more people are buying the cheaper stuff. And of course, it doesn't last very long. Some of it doesn't last very long at all. And it just ends up in landfill, Gone are the days of having a tool for decades. They just don't last that long, unfortunately. Oh, I can hear movement. And the pie is ready, which is excellent. And the cigarette's finished, which is even more excellent. Job done. That won't go into the marina. Be a good test for trying sacrificial anodes. That's a very good point. And it's been dealt with by our marine department. So I'll have a chat with Hugh, who's the head, who works within marine. He's not the head of marine, but he's a very experienced marine engineer. I'll have a chat with him and see if he wants to install some of those sacrificial anodes, because that'd be a very good idea. I don't think it's going to go in the water, but it probably is going to be used for launching boats, small boats, in which case it's probably going to get splashed by the sea quite a bit. So that would be a really good test. I'll recommend that to Hugh when I see him on Tuesday. Good idea, Simon. Thanks for reminding me. And he knows all about sacrificial anodes because he fits them to boats all the time. Right, let's go and get the pie. Turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom! Okay, here we go. Dum, 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 dum. Now, I don't want the live stream to go on for hours and hours today because Andy's got lots of concreting to do today. We've got to stay on schedule. It would have been nice to get both pads done today because we've got a full day ahead of us. Jeez, it feels, oh my word, look at that. It's all falling apart. And it's really hot. Hang on a minute, I'm going to put it on the bag. Maybe carry it on the bag because I don't want it to fall on the floor. Let's look at that, we've got a massive crack going on. This could be bad. Jeez. Okay, wish me luck. We'll leave the door open, I can't be closing that and risking dropping the pie. Right, we'll stick it on there. Nice. So, we have got some pretty serious collapse of the bonding between the lid and the base. Oh, you can see inside there, look. Very nice. And this huge crack down the side. I'm going to let it cool down a bit because it's way too hot at the moment to start eating it. Especially when I need to handle it as much as I'm going to need to handle it to stop it falling apart. So, we will resume chat for a little bit. Turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom. There we go. Okay, yes. Very, very hot pie. Can I show you a bit more? Possibly can. It's going to be on the bag. No, the lid's not bad. Underneath, can I get underneath it? Oh my word. No, I'm not going to risk it. It's going to fall apart. Holy shit. This is one collapsing pie. So it's definitely lost some points. Holy moly. This is going to be a fun pie to eat, is that one. I don't recall on their previous pies having this kind of problem. They were normally really well structured. So it could get a bit messy later on, couldn't it? Now then, Mike Adams. Hi, y'all. Sorry, Mike, for the accent. Morning, Mike. Welcome back to the workshop, sir. Pete Woodfine. The pie looks like a ventriloquist dummy. It's, yes, it's pretty, it's going to fall apart. I know it is. It's going to be a real problem. Now, so yes, next week, so next weekend, we got as far as Friday, didn't we? Working from home Friday, which would be great because I've got lots of reports to do. I've done loads of what we call dealer visits to motorcycle shops, and I have to do 2 reports on each one. Which each report or each pair of reports take about an hour to do, provided I have all the information that I need, and it does rely on the motorcycle shop owner providing me some data, and that's one of the stumbling blocks at the moment. Trying to get that information out of them is quite difficult sometimes, and sometimes it never actually happens. And without it, I can't submit the report. The system won't even accept it. And I'm not one for making up numbers. You know, the numbers have got to be right, otherwise there's no point. Computers and stats are only as good as the accuracy of the numbers or the data going in. So, you know, better to not have the report than have an inaccurate report, I believe. That's my opinion. But I do try to jeer them on a few times, but sometimes it just never comes through for whatever reason. But anyway, so next Saturday, like I said, Ben's going to be undersealing that other ROV, which is a real ball ache of a job, but I'm very grateful that he's doing it for me because I hate doing them now. And I've done a lot over recent years since I moved down to the cottage. Ben used to do them in Auckland for me on weekends and on evenings and stuff, bit of pocket money for him. But obviously being down here, it hasn't been possible. But so I've made the most of him coming down, and he knows it. But he knows we're putting a lot of effort into doing his shed for him, so he's quite happy doing those. And then after he's done that, I might even go back up and get some more builders mix, because we are planning to do some more concrete pads in the future. So it might be worthwhile going to get some more while we're in that kind of mode. And it's pretty cheap. It's about, they sell it by the scoop, which is the bucket size of the tractor that they use to load it, and it's 0.4 of a cubic meter is the volume of a bucket or a scoop. So 4 scoops is it takes the trailer up to its maximum payload. I won't overload it. That's not going to happen because it will damage the trailer long term. And 4 scoops is enough. That keeps us going. That I think 4 scoops will do. I'd say probably 5 scoops will do 2 pads, which we are doing in the shed at the moment. But 4 scoops is ample. It takes us a while to unload the trailer as well. So I might go and get some more. I might not. All depends on Ben's budget. And then we'll get on with the last pad to concrete. That'll be on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not actually entirely sure whether Ben's going to go back to Auckland Sunday morning, or whether he's going to hang around for Sunday, or whether he might go back to Auckland Saturday night, and then bring a load of stuff down on the Sunday. I just don't know. Sunday's a bit up in the air. I might even get a video made. Who knows? Be quite nice. It's been a few months. I've got a lot of videos lined up to make. I just haven't had the time to do them. And while we're doing Ben's shed, that's priority. I just cannot burn through time while Ben's here to not be helping him. That wouldn't be fair on him. I've given him a promise to help. Mike Adams, a combo of 20 years of working for my dad, who was a brick mason. Oh wow! Before switching to pumping concrete, and I delivered concrete for a couple of years. I feel your pain on the job ahead. Yeah, we have a cement mixer, so we have to basically not hand mix, but hand load the cement mixer, and then wheelbarrow it round. So Mrs. Mechanic does all the leveling off of the concrete. She's very, very good at that. She's done a few pads now, and every one that she does, she just gets better and better. She's getting quite awesome at doing them, to be fair. So me and Ben spend basically between the two of us. I tend to feed the cement mixer, do the mix, and Ben will wheelbarrow it round and then shovel it into, because at the moment we can't get the wheelbarrow directly to the pads because all the shuttering's done. You have to then do it by hand with a shovel out of the wheelbarrow and place it on the pad where Mrs. Mechanic wants it. And it seems to work pretty well. We can probably produce concrete a little bit quicker than what Mrs. Mechanic wants it, as she works her way across the pad. There was a couple of times yesterday where she asked us just to take 5 minutes, which was nice, a bit of a break, before we sent the next mix up. But all in all, good team effort, and the results are awesome. Ben is actually really impressed. When we did his other shed, he bought one of those prefab sheds, a steel one that we put up a few years ago. We did a concrete pad for that, which we did the pad first and then put the shed up, which is what you'd expect to do. But unfortunately, only a few hours after laying the pad, we had some torrential rain. We tried to cover it up best we could, but the water got in and it did spoil the surface of the concrete. It's still quite usable. It's still level. It's still hard and everything. But concrete pads don't like rain. And it was a bit sad after all the work we put in to doing it for him that it didn't quite turn out as we planned. So that's why we've decided to do the concrete pad at the end after we built the shed, because it's got a roof and the rain doesn't get in. So the concrete would be great, and it is great. It's worked out really, really well. Very, very happy, because it's not a cheap thing to do, and there's a lot of labour involved as well. So you want to do the best possible job that you can. And I'm not a builder. Don't think that I am. This isn't, obviously I'm doing more and more over the years, but it's not my job, and I'm not skilled in it. I can sort of do it, but some of the ways that we do things, I'm sure some builders would laugh at what we do, but it sort of works. It works for us. John Nuttall, do we have any news on the Bonneville at all? Hit the like button, lads. The Bonneville, the bike is still here. I wheeled it out of the workshop again this morning. It's looking pretty dusty. Alan, I gave Alan the list of parts needed, a very long list of parts. There was a lot of stuff wrong with that bike as respects the primary drive and the gearbox. After I was filming with Stu down in Invercargill, when he went through everything as well, so we could collate our findings, Stu pretty much confirmed everything that I'd flagged. I think there was a couple more parts that he wanted to change as well. And then the following day, on the Monday, when I was down back at the motorcycle shop where Stu works, I'd found another box of bits in the ute because, things get buried in there. And we quickly went through those. And one of the outer covers on the right-hand side of the engine, which is sort of where the gear shift mechanism is and stuff, we spotted a repair on one of the shafts. So all of that needs to be replaced as well, which, it was basically the end of the shaft had a deep groove machined into it, leaving these sort of two prongs. And one of the prongs obviously had broken off at some point, and somebody had welded it back on and tried to machine the shaft back down again to hide the weld line. It looked pretty gnarly, in all honesty, and it just needs to be replaced. So there's all of those parts still to get as well. And Alan's not told me if he's obtained any of these parts that he needs yet. At one point he says, "Oh, do I just get another engine from somewhere? A complete engine and just drop it in?" I said, "Well, everything you get, Alan's going to be second hand, and there's no guarantees that it's going to be any better than the one we've pulled apart. The only way of being sure is to do the rebuild ourselves on your current engine using known good parts, ideally new parts. But maybe the cost is just too high at the moment. I don't know. But Stu is going to do the engine rebuild, the gearbox and primary drive rebuild down in Invercargill. And I'm hoping the plan is for me to be down there and help him to do it down in his workshop. And then once the engine's all back together, Alan wants me to get the bike down there so that Stu can refit the engine back in the bike and get the thing up and running proper. I think at that point it may well then come back to my workshop. I've got a couple of tyres to fit to it, which I could do in advance, to be fair, if I get around to it. And there's some minor electrical work that needs to be done. I say minor. I think the more I get into it, the more there's going to be to do. So do I do that before it goes down there? Again, it all depends on the time frame of when these parts are going to turn up. As soon as I've got the parts in hand, I want to get that machine down to Invercargill so Stu can get on with it. Or at least help him build the engine back up, And Stu's pretty quick. He doesn't take long. Once he's onto a job, he'll smash through it and get it all done within a few days, a couple of weekends probably. So he'll be wanting the bike so he can get the engine in and get it running, Alan also wanted a top end rebuild doing as well, so Stu might be doing that before he puts the engine back in the frame. I don't know. There's loads to do. It's turning out to be a very long-term project, and in all honesty, it really has dropped right to the bottom of my list at the moment, because I can't do anything really until the parts turn up, and I've got all this other stuff going on. So my apologies, John. It's stalled out at the moment. I'm sure it'll bounce back. We'll continue at some point. I'll be older. I'll be a couple of years older than I was when I started doing that bike. But fingers crossed we can get it sorted out. Mike Adams, one thing for sure: a person learns about concrete. You don't work it; it works you. Yeah. Monday mornings my shoulders hurt. And so does Ben's and Mrs. Mechanics. We're all in pain for a few days. It's quite nice to get back to work and, a day job and not be doing quite so much manual labour. Mike Adams, when you're working on old non-computerized engines, do you ever find yourself getting a better fine tune by ear beyond what you was getting with gauges and timing lights? Certainly with the little Suzuki Jeeps that we used to run, and I would regularly replace the ignition points on the 1 litres in the early days. I was able to fit a set of points, set the gap with my thumbnail. That was always the way I used to do it out in the field, and then just get your timing just right by rotating the distributor, and I could get it pretty much bang on just from hearing it, But you're quite right. The old school ability to listen to an engine and to tune the carb and tune the ignition based on what you hear and how the engine revs and how the revs come down and how it performs, I think that's very much a lost art. I'm not a tuning guru by any means. I've got a lot to learn on that front, and I don't really get exposed to that very often. I mean, saying that, you know, doing the carb balance on the CB750, the K2, the one Alan's previous bike that we worked on, which was a great success. Still, he's got it on the road. He uses it on a regular basis. Using that digital carb balancer was a godsend. It really was. And I think with it being a 4-cylinder engine with 4 separate carburetors, I think you'd really struggle to balance those carbs just by ear. I couldn't do it. I don't have that kind of skill set. But that digital balancer was really, really good. Far better, in my opinion, than using mercury tubes. And, you know, it runs really sweet. It really does. Alan's very impressed with it. And so am I. It turned out great. Connor K. Andy, I sent you an email about a Tesla accident in the Lisbon metro area. Ended on its roof. Oddly, it didn't burst into flames. Check out the image. I will. So, in fact, maybe I can do it on this one. Hang on, bear with me, and then you can look at the big screen. Bum, 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 bum. I think it's that one. Hopefully, it's remember my password, because I don't normally go on my emails on this laptop. Where is it? Hasn't come through yet, Connor. Maybe it's on this one. Have a look. Have a look. Hang on. Bear with me. Or maybe it's on a messenger. Nope. Oh, what's this? Oh, message from Ben. I wait for Bunnings to have a sale on the dual fast charger with 2 times 4 amp hour batteries for $117. Seems to be a regular sale there. That's pretty cheap. So 2 4 amp hour batteries and a charger for the Azito for $117. That is crazy cheap compared to the Makita stuff. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate that. Right, let's see if we can find this email. Oh, it might have gone into the. It might have gone into the spam. When did you send it, Connor? Was it just this morning? Let me see if I can find you. I'll do a search. Oh, no. EV batteries burning on a ship. This is quite interesting. So I'm going to read this out. Connor won't mind, I'm sure. Connor says this is all about transporting EV batteries by ship, so possibly still fitted to the cars. Hey Andy, don't know if you heard about the roll-on, roll-off ship Fremantle Highway fire currently happening. Now this was back in July, end of July last year. So some of you may remember this. The cause is not known currently, but it's been fueled by EV car batteries. As you know, these fires are very difficult to extinguish. Making it much worse is the vehicles on these ships are lashed to the decks and parked bumper to bumper and door to door in order to fit as many vehicles as possible. Also, the interior car decks are tremendously large spaces, allowing heat, smoke and fire to easily flow around the vessel. The fixed CO2 fire suppression system don't have the capacity to extinguish that big of a fire, and you can't flood the space with seawater without serious risk of collapsing or sinking the vessel. I understand that at least one merchant sailor died prior to abandoning the ship. It's a real mess. It's a sign of tragedies to come. There are plenty of videos about this vessel fire. Wow, I didn't know about that, Connor. Yeah, I mean, just the whole problem around EV batteries. But Connor, no email. I'll try my junk, but I don't think it'll be in there. If you just... there we go, you're right. Let's open that one up. Is it going to let me view the picture? Oh, it's saying I can't view the picture. Oh, it's not junk. There we go. Try that. It's not junk. Okay. Right. Is it still in the junk folder? So bear with me. I'm not great on this stuff. Junk emails. No. Inbox. Connor. Do another search. It's moved the email. Bear with me. can't spell Connor now. Let's try that. There we go. God, painful. Right. Inverted Tesla in a very wealthy residential area in Greater Lisbon, Portugal area. Happened last week in the middle of the night. I think it happened a week ago on Saturday or Sunday, early AM. It was a single vehicle accident, and I don't think there were any injuries. The driver ran away from the scene in a demonstration of good conscience and responsibility, as a good Tesla driver would have. I'm sure you are as grief-stricken as I am about the loss of this wonderful automobile. I like it. I've got to cover up Connor's. Hang on, I'll do that with this. Right, bear with me. I'll turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, covering up Connor's. Oh, hang on. Bear with me. I'm going to take you out of the tripod. That didn't work at all, did it, Mr. Young? Right, so I'm going to cover that up. There we go. There's your picture. What a terrible shame. That's such a waste of an automobile. Fantastic. One less Tesla in the world. Okay, turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. There you go, Connor. Hopefully I've kept your email secret. Apologies for that. Right. Oh, yes. I like that. Full screen. Is that going to just... Oh. Okay, full screen. All right, back again then. Turn you around. There you go. No email address in sight. It's pretty impressive. Obviously, the car was far too powerful for the driver. It looks like he's taken out a lamppost. And then we'll just leg it, you know. Don't need to be on the scene for the policeman. Great stuff. Oh, honestly. Thanks, Connor. Appreciate it, mate. And sorry your email ended up in the junk. They don't normally end up in the junk mail. For some reason, it pinged that one. Maybe it was the attachment. I don't know. Or maybe the junk just recognizes, you know, EV cars and classes them as junk. Haha. Right, back to the live stream. Boom. Okay, where do we get to? Right, I'm going to start the pie because the clock is ticking and we are, geez, an hour and 7 in. Okay, this is going to be, oh my word, an absolute nightmare. Okay, it is mobile, it is airborne, and it's so soft on the base. Can you see that? It's like paper thin. Right, I'm going to move the bag so if I drop any bits, hopefully I can mop them up. It's definitely cool enough. Now, this is, it's very tasty. A Paetiki Bakery, or Lamb's Pies, call them as you wish. Pepper steak and with creamy mushroom sauce. All of which I really like. Mrs. Mechanic chose this pie, so well done, Mrs. Mechanic. Okay, now we've got a split happening down the bottom, which is really bad. The contents are quite flowy. I think this is going to be very hard to score as we go along, but I'm going to try. So, one-handed, just juggling the pie. Taste, stroke, flavour, contents. One more bite to confirm just how good this pie is as regards flavour. Super soft pastry. You can really taste the pepper. The meat's pretty good. Not had any big chunks of meat yet though. Taste, stroke, flavour. I like it. The pie's not greasy at all. I don't like greasy pies. I'm going to give it an 8. I think it's a well-deserved 8. That obviously might change as we get further into the pie. It might get higher. It might come down lower. So now I'm just pushing the pie back together at the base to try and stop any kind of leakage breaking out. I'm failing. Look at that. That's a recipe for disaster, isn't it? Maybe I'll go upside down. That might help. So that's the contents. It's quite mushy. It's not just big chunks of meat and a bit of gravy. There seems to be quite a lot of filler in this pie. It's tasty, don't get me wrong. I am going to eat the pie upside down, and I don't class it as cheating. I think it's good management skills, given the condition. The lid is a lot stronger than the base. Okay. Mushrooms, nice. Structure Foley Partners. It's horrific, isn't it? It hasn't completely broken up yet. If it completely breaks up and we end up with bits of pie and the contents all falling out, that would be a 0. It would be terrible. We have had worse. I'm going to give it a 2. That means it can still lose 2 more points. It's pretty bad. And there isn't a hope in hell's chance you could eat this pie whilst driving. No way, Jose. Okay. A nice chunk of meat there. That was good. Now, runnability test. We're about halfway through, maybe just a fraction over. I think it is going to run. 45, I might have to abort mission if it starts to pour out. 45 degrees for 30 seconds. Let's just slowly increment it. Okay, that's about 45 degrees. It could be proving me wrong. I don't see any movement. That's absolutely amazing considering how fluid the contents seem to be when you're eating it. I mean, look at even that tear at the back. The pastry's dropped down, look. It's pretty bad, but it hasn't moved. I mean, there's lots of potential to lose stuff. There's lots of bits dangling down, but nothing has actually fallen off, and that is 45 degrees. Wow. It's right on the edge of losing a load of contents, but there's no movement. I think if you went to 50 degrees, it would definitely lose. That was just a bit of pastry. It's all right. Okay, so is it a pass? It is a pass. Does it get a 10? Well, I'm going to give it a 9. I know it didn't lose any, and I know there was no movement, but it was right on the limit. If you don't agree with me, tell me in the comments, but I think a 9 for that. I don't think it deserves the full 10. Meat quality, okay. I'm getting a lot of filler at the moment and not many chunks of meat. I can see one now. Okay. When there is meat in there, it's pretty tasty. I'm going to give that an 8. That was actually really nice. I just wish there was more meat and less filler, basically. Okay. Now, contents to pastry ratio. Well, I can just move that bit down. There we are. There's a lot of filling. Don't get me wrong, there's a hell of a lot of filling. And the pastry is pretty damn thin. Almost too thin, really, especially on the base, given the kind of pastry it is. There's a cross section. And there's no points where there's a massive amount of pastry. It's all pretty damn thin. Okay. So, and when I'm eating it, it's the contents that I can taste. I don't really taste the pastry much. There's that much contents. So, it scores very well on that. I don't think they could have made it much thinner on the pastry, to be honest. And it's a big pie, and there's a lot in the pie. I'm going to give it a 10. I'm going to give it a 10 on that. I don't think you could do any better. Now, availability logistics. These are only available in 2 bakeries here in New Zealand. and both of them are in Taupo. You can't buy them at supermarkets. You've got to go to those bakeries. So, not readily available. They've got 2 shops. Do we give them 2? I think we give them 2. Okay, pastry taste rating. Well, just so happens that there is a chunk of pastry just hanging off there, so we'll try that. It's not bad. It is just a pastry taste. There's nothing else in there. There's nothing mixed in with the pastry to give it more flavour. It's just pastry. And a bit soggy in places as well. So it's not greasy. That's a major plus. I'll give them a 5. It's all right. Pastry taste rating's okay. Still tasty when cold. Well, it almost is cold now, so we'll find out. Oh, Mrs. Mechanics logged in as me on the other laptop, and she's put on maybe Ben did it, has put that same message on regarding those. Oh, Ben did it. Those are Zito batteries, so you can see that in the comments now as well. It's weird seeing somebody else message it as you. It's not often that happens. So, still tasty when cold. It's got mushrooms in. I'm not a fan of cold mushrooms. It's going to have to lose a point for that. But I don't think it'll be too bad cold. But not the best. I'm going to give it a 6. I think it will be sort of okay cold. Not a huge fan. Right, I'm going to eat the last bit. Here we go. Last bit going down. Bit messy. Okay. So we've got packaging design is next. We've got an awful lot of bits of puff pastry flying around on the packaging, so I'll have to down that now. Bear with me. Okay. So this is the packet that the pie came in. And it's pretty distinct, isn't it? You know, it's a bit colourful. It's got a nice banner across the top. They're obviously very proud of their pies, and so they should be. They've got awards for them. I'd have to give them a slight benefit of the doubt on that pie collapsing because it has been transported all the way from Taupo to home. It's about a 45-minute drive. There were 3 in the shopping bag. There may have been other stuff in there as well. And I think it did get a little bit damaged in transit. So, first burp. We'll have to take that into account. I'm pretty confident it didn't come out of the bakery with that structural failure on it. Anyway, back to the packaging. I think we've got 3 different colours. That's a nice big sort of pie picture. You can't see the pie, but you've got to remember that because it's from a bakery, the pies are in cabinets, and then you pick the pie. So you can see the whole pie on the shelf. You pick the pie, and then you put it in the bag yourself. So you do have the ability to view the whole pie and decide if you want it or not. So in this particular instance, having a plastic window on the pie bag would be completely pointless and just lead to more expense and render the packaging to the point where you won't be able to recycle it. So, you know, totally stupid, really. So, it's all right. I mean, it's very traditional. They haven't changed the style of their packaging for many, many years. All the pies that we've had from this particular bakery have always looked the same packaging. I'm going to give them... They've made an effort, haven't they? Because most bakeries just use a plain paper bag and they put their name on it. And I do say this to bakeries, if you're proud of your pies, put your name on it. Tell people it's your pie and you're happy for them to eat it. You're proud for people to eat it. So I mean, you wouldn't make a box. I mean, you could, but it's a bit over the top. I'm going to give them an 8. I think based on who they are, and it's just a bakery, and it's not sold in supermarkets and stuff, you don't need supermarket style packaging. It doesn't need to be that well protected. Most people would eat the pie at the bakery or in their truck parked outside the bakery. So for what they use it for, this is pretty good, to be fair. Now, recyclable score, paper bag, full 10. Pen's drying up. Post pie heartburn, 1 burp so far. Are there any more? Yes, 2. 2 burps so far, so we're down to 8. I don't really feel any real heartburn coming on, but if there is going to be any, it's when I start shoveling that builder's mix, making the concrete. Stuffability score. I am stuffed. I don't want anything else to eat. Am I overstuffed? It was a big pie. Maybe a little bit, actually. A little bit lethargic. Maybe 10%. So I might pull that back down to 9, actually. I think it's a fair score. It was maybe a couple of mouthfuls less would have been perfect for me. Now, pie server attractiveness, or the ambiance of the establishment where said pie was purchased from. Mrs. Mechanic has already given me a score for this. The score was 6. The only comment that she made this morning she said, well, you can mention it if you want or not, would be that the young lady that was serving in the pie shop, English obviously wasn't her first language, for obvious reasons when you see her. And I'm not being racist, I'm just saying it will be quite obvious. So asking any kind of detailed question, and Mrs. Mechanic did, she asked about some of the sausage rolls. The young lady was unable to respond in any comprehensible English. So the question was meaningless, and Mrs. Mechanic had to just guess. So that was probably the only real failing on the bakery's part. However, saying that, for most of the tradies that go in, they don't really ask any questions. They just go, it's a pie, I buy pie, I eat pie. That's about the level that it is. And I'm not being derogatory towards any kind of tradies there. That's sort of the way it works. You're hungry, you go in, you choose your pie, you pay for it, you eat it, and it's done, and you move on with life. So she was probably a bit shocked that somebody was actually asking her a question to start off with anyway. So maybe a bit stunned. So Mrs. Mechanic said 6. So we're going to give the young lady a 6. If she wants to go off and do some English lessons and to learn the Queen's English in a bit more detail, then, at the next visit, she might get some more marks. Who knows? Okay, because I think it's quite important that when you ask questions about the food, you're able to get an answer. Because some people have dietary requirements, don't they? Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All the scores are in. So I'm going to move the packaging and you can help me to add this up. Turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, here we go. Right, it's going to angle you down a little bit. There we go. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm still drinking the same coffee. Okay, so we've got 10, 19, 27, 37, 39, 44, 50, 58, 68, 76, 85, 85, 91. Well, that seems a pretty common score, 91, doesn't it? So not the best pie in the world, but not bad. But don't, under any circumstances, try to eat this pie in your car. Whether you're driving or not, don't eat it in your car. The potential of disaster is very high, as we saw. So I'm going to call it Paetiki Bakery because it's nicer, isn't it? So Paetiki Bakery. And it's a pepper steak. And the pepper wasn't overpowering. That was quite nice about it. The ones from the Wild Bean Cafe are really peppery now. And I'll just put mushroom sauce. There we go, small letters. It was very tasty. But also it fell apart. And the score is 91. Oh, don't move that, 91. Okay, let's go and see where this sits on the leaderboard. The board of many, many pies. Right, 91. 91. Holy crap. Actually, it's not done that well, has it really? When you think up there, look, with top pie 107, to get down to Molly Lily, to get down to 91, we are right down there. Holy crap. Now, the other Paetiki bakeries, we spotted them yesterday, pretty tasty, steak and mushroom, and that was a pepper steak. So it was a different pie to this one. That got 94, and this one was, oh man, look at that, roast pork, nuts, mushrooms and cheese. What a combination. 94 again. So I think this one lost most of its marks on the fact that it fell apart. If it had been structurally intact, that would have been probably up there somewhere and a very good score. So, and it wasn't all down to the fact it was damaged in transport. The design of that pie wasn't the best. It was lending itself very easily to falling apart. And being the pie connoisseur that I am, I know what I'm talking about. I have much experience in eating many, many pies, as you all well know. Oh, we had a really good Top Gear evening last night. We watched the Vietnam special. That was cool. We watched the one with Oliver in, where they go across, is it Africa? Yes, Africa. With the little car, Hammond driving his little car. That was cool. And then we watched another one. Oh, we watched the Polar Special. Polar Special, to me, is just a phenomenal achievement by the Top Gear lads. And it should most definitely go down in the history books. They were the first people ever to get cars or a car to the pole. Absolutely unbelievable. And every time I watch it, I'm thinking, you know, when you think about the filming side of it, behind the scenes, and the fact that they just set off across the ice and through those sort of boulder fields and stuff, cutting their way through. I mean, what a mission. I mean, scary as well, driving over the ice on those fjords and stuff, where they could have just, you know, cracked through to the and plummeted to the bottom, and because the water's so damn cold, and they would have died. Simple as that, you know. There's only so much safety you can put into that kind of stuff, and it's a very, very harsh environment to be in. So well done, gentlemen. I'm very proud of it. Every time I watch that, I'm very proud of them doing that. I think Hammond had the least risk, to be fair, because he was on the sledge, wasn't he? Right, scrolling back. There we are. Right. Thank you, Connor, for the email, by the way. Peter Swatman. Talking of old engines, do you have any ideas on why an old Japanese, beginning with a K, diesel will not start? When hot, but starts fine when cold, with white, blue, grey smoke and plenty of it. Well, white is normally coolant. Blue is normally oil, and grey is probably because the two are getting mixed up together. Why would it not start when it's hot? Well, if it's old, it's going to be a carburetor. Do you think there's a possibility that there could be some kind of enrichment that shouldn't be happening whilst the engine is turned off and hot? Is it leaching fuel into the intake tracks? Check it out. You know, maybe what you could do is when it's hot, before you turn, so as it's warming up and gets to operating temperature, turn off the fuel, make sure the carbs are all empty, so let it stall for no fuel, so it runs out of fuel, engine stalls, but the engine's hot, and then turn the fuel tap on, wait a couple of seconds so the float bowls haven't fully filled. This is after a few minutes of the vehicle of the engine being stood, and then see if it starts straight up. If it does, then you know realistically there must be something to do with too much fuel, too much of a rich mixture feeding the engine when it's hot and it's just struggling to start because it's running on too rich a mixture. Good little test. That's maybe one of the tests that I would do. I'd also be tempted just to do a leak down test on it, just to make sure that mechanically the engine is sound, that it's not a mechanical problem. For example, if your valve clearances aren't correct and it's the valves aren't fully seating, then you're going to be getting some combustion gases being pushed back potentially through the carburetors, and carburetors really do not like airflow in the wrong direction. It really messes them up, and that could be another reason why it's not starting. So a couple of little tests there for you. Simon, been thinking for a while about using a scope and some map sensors to balance carbs. That would be a really cool little experiment, and you could easily do that. But you will need a number of map sensors that are all the same to do it. But yes, you could do that, I'm sure. John Nuttall. Although saying that, the tool that I got sent, that digital carb balancer, is I think a really visual way of balancing those carbs up, because you're able to take the readings instantaneously. You can see from the bar charts, the little bar graphs, where each cylinder's at. Whereas with a scope, I think it'd be a little bit more difficult to interpret in real time as you're doing balancing the carbs, as you're making the changes in real time. But there's no reason why you can't do that. John, Mr. Nuttall, if it's that bodged, I'm betting the carbs are in need of love on that Bonnie. I haven't gone anywhere near the carburetors yet, but I'm sure you're right. And again, Stu is a guru on those old Bonnies, so it's something which Stu will be doing. And sure, if I can be down there and we can do it together and I can film it, that would be great, because it's a great learning curve for me. I haven't really worked on those old machines, as I've said before. I've not had an experienced mechanic like Stu talk me through and teach me the ins and outs and the quirks of those old bikes. I'm learning on the fly, just like some of you guys are. But Stu's a great mechanic, and he's also very amenable to be on camera as well, which is great. I wasn't too sure at the start, but I think now that he's done his first video, he came across really well in that video. It was a good day's filming, was that. And I'm sure he'd be more than happy to do a few more videos on the Bonnie down in his workshop, which would be great. Privileged to be in Stu's workshop, to be fair. And I've worked with Stu for many years now, seven years in fact. In about a week's time, 2 weeks' time, I'll have worked with Stu for 7 years on and off on various diagnostics and problems that we've managed to nut our way through, which has been great. He's a clever lad, he really is. He'll be surely missed when he retires from the industry. Although he's never going to retire, he'll just start to be in his workshop full time. He's the kind of guy that will be fixing bikes until the last day that he's on this planet, to be fair. Connor K, 10 minutes ago. Yes, got that. Thank you, Connor. Pete Woodfine, has the pie congealed enough to make it easier to eat now? God, are we going back that far? Pie's gone. Right, Jim Haynes, not here today. Hagerstown Speedway, Maryland. Nice. You'd enjoy it down in Taupo today with the V8 racing going on, I'm sure, Jim. It'll be chaos in Taupo Town Centre. I can guarantee it, especially when the racing finishes. They'll all be heading to the pub. All of them. Every single person at the raceway will be heading straight to the pub in Taupo. Mike Adams, food on the road just ain't no good unless you have the scoop a finger or two of it off your lap or your belly at least once. Not in my work shirt. No chance. William Brody. Hi, Andy and crew from Minnesota, the US of A. Good morning, William. Welcome to the workshop, sir. Sorry it's taken me a while to get to these comments. Connor K. Oliver. Botswana is southern Africa. Yes, it was a really good. Ben did fall asleep on the last adventure. To be fair, he was snoring away in the corner. We'd worn him out again. I'd worn himself out, to be fair, because it's his job. But yeah, we worked him hard. He didn't stop all day long, poor lad. I think he's quite glad when he drives home on a Sunday night. Simon, the real Top Gear needs to come back to the TV as it was in the 2000s. It would be phenomenal if the BBC finally agreed we made a mistake. We shouldn't have got rid of the three of them. Oh, Clarkson was the pinnacle, wasn't he? They got rid of Clarkson, fired him, and the other two went, well, screw you. We're not going to hang around if you're going to get rid of our mate. If they just stepped back and went, it's too big a franchise is Top Gear, too big a program, too much following. We need to actually support it. And enough time has gone by. We've all forgotten about the reason why Mr. Clarkson was fired. I remember profusely why he was fired, but I think enough water's under the bridge now and they could do the right thing. And if they're prepared to take them back on board, or the lads are prepared to come back, they could come back. But I think it would need to be more adventure-based. I think the adventures are the pinnacle of the Top Gear team. And there is only really one Top Gear team, right? I really enjoy the adventures, and I can watch them over and over again, and they're as good every time. It's just lads having a banter. They're just kids. Mrs. Mechanic made the same comment last night. They're just kids. And they are. They're just grown men acting like kids with cars. And that's why it's fun. It's just meaningless fun. And they do it for us. And it's great. Simon, there we are. Done that one. Peter Swatman. Why would a diesel have a carb? Diesels don't have carburetors. Surely not. You weren't talking about a diesel earlier on, were you? Did I miss that bit? Oh, you're right. Sorry, mate. I didn't read the word diesel. Okay. Won't start when it's hot, but it's a diesel. Check your cold start. It might be that the cold start isn't deactivating and it's getting too much fuel. So look on the injector pump. Now we did have normally on the old patrols, there's a rack inside the injector pump, and the rack there's three positions. There's cold start, so it pulls the rack to one side, usually via a servo, although there are other methods of doing it, and that activates cold start, so additional fuel. And then once the engine's started, it then goes to normal running position, and then to stop the engine, it pushes the rack in the opposite way, which cuts the fuel. And there's sometimes a fuel stop solenoid as well on the same injector pump. It may be that the rack is sticking in the cold start position. Just double check. May need a bit of adjustment. Maybe that might be the reason. Don't forget, on cold start, it has the glow plugs to help the engine start. For warm start, the glow plugs shouldn't work. There's a temperature sensor on the engine, and that would deactivate the glow plugs once the engine's at operating temperature. So your reason for poor starting may also be the fact that the glow plugs, are not helping it to start. Where am I going with this? So possibly it could be down on compression a bit as well, and the glow plugs are helping it to start when it's cold because they're heating up the cylinders. And don't forget, your cylinders only create heat without glow plugs due to the compression cycle. So if you're down on compression, your compression may not be enough to ignite the fuel, i.e. you're not creating enough heat to ignite the fuel, so you've got poor start. So do a compression test, especially when it's hot. Could be interesting. It's a long time since I've worked on a diesel, so forgive me. So yeah, everything I said previously, forget all that. But that one, that's that. I think that's valid. You could also get leaky injectors as well. You know, if it's leaking diesel while it's stationary, engine stopped and it's just dripping fuel into the cylinder, that's a bad thing. Could cause poor starting. You could also, it could be down to the spray pattern from the injectors as well. The nozzles do wear over time. Are the electronic diesel injectors, or are the injectors opened through pressure? You know, if it's opened through pressure, you've got the injector pump. So yeah, there's different systems. Ideally, I mean, you said old, so I imagine it's got it's got an injector pump, a mechanical injection pump on the side of the engine that's driven by the cam chain, or normally the gears that drive the camshaft. They're normally gear linked because they have to be super accurate, and chains don't really give us that. Although saying that, I had a Nissan CD17 engine where the injector pump, it was pretty old, the injector pump was driven by the cam belt. So maybe. All the Nissan ones were all gear driven. They were super easy to work on. Right, scrolling back down again. There you go. Lee, how did I get here? No idea, Lee, but welcome to the workshop. Connor K, yes, that Top Gear was great. At least that is what some say. Top bloke. Simon, Peter Swatman, what you're describing sounds like a height pump or leaking injector. Height pump? A height pump. No idea what that is. Peter Swatman, there's no electronics except the starter motor. Nice. So you're going to have a mechanical injection pump. Glow plugs are a separate switch straight from the battery. Oh, even more basic then. Okay. Stop is manual cut off of fuel. But there must be some cold start element to it. So do you have to manually pull the rack to the cold start position, or is that controlled mechanically when the engine's cold? You know, or is it just RPM based? So it does it, I don't know. Send me some more information, I'll do some digging. Mike Adams, could be because of my lack of tech and accomplished knowledge, but I get more satisfaction getting pre-computer engines. How about you? I prefer the old stuff. You can pick things up and look at them and see if they're not working properly or not, or if they're in good condition. 1974 Kubota diesel, 8,500 hours. That's a lot of hours. It's probably down on compression. Connor K, high pressure pump. Yes. So yeah, injector pump. Good stuff. Thanks, Connor. Okay, crew. Simon, you say old. The 2005 Honda CDIT engines used a pump that ran off the exhaust cam. Wow. It's amazing, isn't it? 2005. But no, 1974, I'm pretty sure she's going to be down on compression. But check it out. Okay, crew, what are we on? Oh, 1 hour 43. You've let me run over again. I have to call it a day. I've got concrete to mix, and Mrs. Mechanic's got to get on with that next slab. Okay, crew, it's been a great morning. Sorry I wasn't able to help too much with your Kubota diesel. If you want to send me, did you tell me the model? Ben, he wants to get to work. That's his horn. Diesels. If you can send me a bit more, email me through some more information about the model of the engine. I have got contacts at Kubota, and I might just be able to get you a manual. Who knows? Okay, crew, thank you again very much for watching. It's been great to catch up. I'll see you again in a couple of weeks, 8:30 a.m. Sunday morning. Cheers, crew. Over and out. Oh, it's on this side. Oh, it keeps moving around. God damn it. There we go.